Okay. Hi, neurodivergent moms and dads. Today I'm going live unfiltered and unedited. This is because somewhere along my very new YouTube journey as an autistic and ADHD mom, I got lost. I lost track of my original why. I got distracted by all the things you're supposed to do on YouTube, all the best practices, all the shiny objects. And the thing with autistic people is that we have an incredibly high level of integrity. That means when something is not authentic, we sense it right away and we are repelled by it. We get an allergic reaction to it. So that's unfortunately what happened to a lot of the people that watch this channel. A lot of you sensed that something wasn't right, something wasn't real, and you responded. You responded by less views, you responded by some unsubscribes, and so on. So and that also made me think, okay, why doesn't it feel good anymore? Why doesn't it feel so fulfilling as it did in the beginning, just to share? That's why I'm going back to the basics. What triggered this whole thought process of something isn't right, something isn't real anymore, is actually my last video. You can go watch it now. I wrote that video about getting triggered. But I did it in a way that was supposed to be kind of neutral. I was trying to protect also the privacy of me and my family. We all know that oversharing is kind of a thing with autistic people. I am notoriously bad with this, like really bad. Once my husband and I were in an interview for a religious institution, and they were interviewing us about how we met and how we decided to get married under this religious institution. And I was oversharing everything, like sex life, everything, like stuff you don't put on a religious channel. But yeah, I have this problem. So the last video was an attempt for me not to overshare and maintain some level of professionalism. But let's be real, this is hard. And if I'm to truly unmask, it's time for me to be real. I have to really, really try and be careful not to give away too many details, private stuff about my family, my kids, my husband, my parents, and so on, because who knows who's going to watch this, and eventually maybe a schoolmate or a teacher of one of my kids is going to watch this, and I don't want them to have see a side of my son that my son wouldn't want to be seen. And this is very, very important right now with like all the social media moms and so on that are sharing the lives of their kids without really the permission of that kid. Anyway, I think about these things a lot. So that went into me trying to be super professional on this, my last video, and also sharing a little bit more about myself. So even though on my channel, I'm just a regular mom, I am a mom with ADHD, autism, I'm a regular autistic ADHD mom. Yes, but this is me downplaying myself. I'm also a trained family constellation therapist, and I'm in the process of getting further training and certification. I have been a meditation teacher for like 14 years now. I have taught workshops all over the world. I have to hundreds of students. So I'm not like totally new to personal development. And I was hiding a lot of that initially, not living, how do you say, not like, I was downplaying myself. I was masking. I just wanted to be liked. And I didn't want to come across as this like all knowing, that like arrogant autistic girl who just has all the answers in class, because then all the other friends hate her. I've experienced this. And I also downplayed my book knowledge, let's say in school or in other places. I really downplayed myself, and I was doing that again on this channel. I was like, oh, I'm just a poor mom, stay-at-home mom. No, I'm a bit more than that. And yeah, I guess this is part of the unmasking journey, to integrate all parts of myself, stop being ashamed of my accomplishments out of fear of being rejected by people who are intimidated by those accomplishments or whatever. And I just wanted to be liked, so I downplayed myself. It kind of worked, but let's see what happens now that I'm going to also be talking about my education, my training and certification in family constellation, family dynamics, and systemic therapy. So enough blah, blah, blah. As my son would say, Mom, stop blah, blah, blah. Uh, I want to talk about why I am sharing my autistic parenting journey on YouTube in the first place. I wrote down in the beginning of the year. First of all, this idea came to me really in the beginning of the year out of the blue. I had no intention of starting a YouTube channel. I already have one actually for my therapy practice, which is kind of sleeping right now. It's in hibernation because I'm hyper focused on this channel and this project. But in the beginning of the year, I'll show you my journal. I wrote this down. I don't want to give you the personal stuff, but here we go. In the beginning of the year, I wrote this down and I wanted to start this project. And the very first thing I wrote here is just be honest, just be real. Okay. And here you quickly see the just be honest, just be real. And this is what I'm going through. This is what's working and this is what's not. That was my intention. My intention was simply to share my life because I only realized this right now, like 5 minutes ago, as I was making some bullet points on what to talk about in this video. Because being an autistic ADHD mom is so isolating. I have no one to talk to about the real struggles of being a neurodivergent parent of neurodivergent kids. So I'll give you an example of a painful example. I have a friend who lives nearby, and she is someone I consider a super mom. So she like has her kids, under control. She has all the routines. She has all the structures in place. She has the best loving relationships with her kids and whatnot. So in the past, whenever I had any questions, I doubted myself as a mom often, But anyway, whenever I had a certain question, I'd go to her and I'd ask her, I'd get her advice. When I finally realized that I'm ADHD, because I realized my son is ADHD, I finally realized this and I went to her and I was like, well, a lot of these, the timetables, the routines, the organization of the day, it doesn't work for me because I have ADHD. And she's like, oh, that shouldn't stop you. Just set an alarm for when you have to head home from the playground so you can start dinner on time. I'm like, you think that I haven't thought of that before? I have, and it doesn't work. In fact, I only realize this now, my PDA, my pathological demand avoidance, and I've been also diagnosed online as ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. My oppositional part of me, my rebel in me is like, alarm, oh, snooze, we're staying in the playground, we're playing, screw the routine, screw the dinner, screw the schedule. But I had no awareness of this at the time. But when I'm in front of my friend and she's the super mom and she's telling me, just set an alarm on your phone, make a list on your journal of your, make a schedule for the day. And I'm thinking, I have tried all this before and none of it is working. And that was the last time this friend and I hung out, because I felt absolutely unheard by her. She wasn't listening. She wasn't willing to look at life through my point of view. She wasn't willing to see that little simple things could potentially be difficult for somebody like me. Now I see she was acting in a very, very ableist way. Now, right now, because of my theory of mind and everybody's neurodivergent, everybody's autistic, I could diagnose her. I believe her. I know her family, so I believe her mother is on the spectrum because her mother works with extremely high needs autistic people who are not able to take care of themselves. So her mother works as a helper who goes into families to take care of teenage or even adult autistic people who literally can't take care of themselves. They may even be in diapers and so on. So for somebody to be able to work so closely with such extreme high needs neurodiversity, they have to have an understanding. They have to also have a lived in experience of being on the spectrum. So I think my friend has neurodiversity in her family, but then again, this is me like being a sidewalk psychologist and diagnosing everybody. Let's not do that. We all know what happens when we do that, because I did that with my dad and that went horribly wrong. Most of you are probably here because you watched that video in the first place, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, rant finished. It is so isolating to be an autistic and ADHD mom. And yeah, I could talk to my husband all day about it, but he also has a certain limit and a threshold. So on YouTube is really my avenue to speak. And I know there are others out there who understand these particular challenges because you have that also. And that is what made my first few videos so fulfilling to make. I didn't need anybody to see it. I was amazed and shocked and surprised when it got like 30 views, because I'm like, oh, there's somebody else out there who knows what I'm feeling and who feels it too. But then I got into this whole like, do this and you're going to get more views and blah, blah, blah. And I lost connection with that original why. I lost connection with that desire to just speak and share, because there was no other avenue or place for me to do that in life. And maybe some of you guys can relate to that. So that is why I share my autistic mom life journey on YouTube. And a couple of other things, and then the content. So originally when I made this plan for 2024, it's my 2024 project, and I pulled some cards from the Gita to me, and that I'm horribly bad at because of my autism. I pulled some cards in the beginning of the year to figure out what this is going to be about. And in one of the cards is from the Gita deck. I'll show that to you as another time, or I'll link that in the description below if you're interested. This was here: do your duty, not someone else's. And you know what? In my last video, this is exactly what I didn't do. I was trying to be somebody else. I was trying to be some like guru. I even wrote down here, don't be a false guru. Don't try to be a false guru. And that's exactly what I did, guys. I was like, oh, I'm this like expert and you all should listen to me. And I'm going to tell you exactly how you're getting triggered and how you can't get triggered. I get triggered like 5 times a day, and that's why I'm talking about this. And this is what I didn't mention in that video. Yes, I want to be better. I want to not get triggered, and I am doing so much better. I wouldn't have shared those tips if they didn't work for me personally, but I didn't share myself in that video. I was like, yes, do this stuff and you won't get triggered by your ADHD kid or your autistic kid. And you're actually susceptible to getting triggered more because you are also autistic slash ADHD. I failed to share that part. I didn't consciously share the part where I also struggle. And I'm talking about these things in the first place because I've been triggered so much and I've done so many things that I have this like shame about. I'm ashamed and I'm embarrassed that I behaved in those ways, because a part of me, like the frontal lobe part of me, the evolved brain, is like, no, you know better. You're a trained therapist. And then when the reptile brain, when my nervous system takes over and goes into this fight, flight, or fawn response. By the way, I fawn a lot on camera. Like I smile too much, things like that, which I'm only noticing now because I'm conscious about masking and unmasking. Anyway, when I realize I have acted like a toddler instead of like a mother, an adult mother, the shame and embarrassment that comes over is it's hard to live with. And this Then I go to my journal because I've told you guys before, I think with my hands. I go to my journal and I write down what happened, why it happened, and I try to unpack it. Once I've done that, I have content for an amazing video that is so real, that is so personal, and it is also valuable because it helped me to understand, like to really go down the layers and to see, okay, this is what happened. My son was in distress or triggered or having a meltdown, or my daughter or my husband, and or my father, and then this, or my mother who was in shutdown because she has a whole other expression of her uniqueness and her whole whatever. We won't go there right now. And then this triggered me in this way. So that's the second layer. And then I really spent time there unpacking. I was triggered in this way and that way. And then I go to the next level. Okay, now that I have this enlightenment about the situation, this is how I can recognize it and catch it next time in the moment before I flip into my toddler tantrum self and do something that's going to cause me shame later. And then is the next part where I'm actually able to practice that. So the next situation where it's a difficult challenge that comes up, there's a tantrum or a meltdown or opposition or whatever, I'm able to go into my frontal lobe, like I think consciously instead of reactively from the back of my brain. And then comes the channel, the YouTube video about that situation, about that learning, what came from that. So this is my whole process. And yes, behind the triggered video, there was also a big process, but there was none of this sharing. Like I didn't share myself, and nobody watched it. Like nobody wants to watch a false guru. To people want a friend who's like not going to pretend that they're perfect. And I'm hoping that I can be that friend for some of you, because to tell you honestly, I don't have that sort of a friend in my universe right now. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you so much for watching this whenever you'll watch it. And if you have any comments, please share. I want to start a dialogue. I also want to hear from you. And I've actually seen a couple of you comment on my channel who are also neurodivergent parents and who are just sharing your stories and your life. And I appreciate that so much. It makes the rest of us feel less alone. I'm getting emotional right now. Maybe I'll actually let the tears come out this time. In the past, I always like hold back and I like feel my eyes prickling, but none of the tears actually come out. Anyway, thank you for sharing your lives. Thank you for sharing your struggles. Thank you for making it okay not to be perfect or a super mom. And um and yeah, there's so much freedom in letting go of this super mom that we're all trying to be, and just accepting ourselves the way we do stuff, and and to know that we're not the only ones who are not super, you know. And I honestly value all of you other moms at the moment, moms, not so many dads, yeah, some dads out there who are sharing your autistic life with your autistic kids and your families and on YouTube. I think it's so powerful and it's so valuable because it makes somebody else on the other side of the planet feel less alone. Feels like they have somebody they can talk to who will actually understand. So thank you for doing that. I'll mention the channels that I'm thinking about specifically who are doing that in the description. And I hope that I can also be that person for you who who shows you that I'm here, I'm listening, and I get it. And I get that normal parenting ways are just not meant for us. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon on another video.